Let me tell you something about people who take long walks alone. They don't walk just to move. They walk to return to a part of themselves that gets buried under noise, obligation, and expectation, to a silence that doesn't ask them to perform, to the self that still remembers what peace feels like. You might have seen them before. The quiet one walking along the edge of a city street at sunset, hands in pockets, headphones around their neck, but no music playing. They're not lost. They're listening to something no one else can hear. In psychology, solitude often gets confused with loneliness, but they're not the same thing. Loneliness is absence. Solitude is presence, the deliberate kind. People who take long walks alone understand this difference intuitively. For them, solitude isn't a luxury, it's maintenance. Their minds absorb too much. Every conversation, every argument, every unspoken tension clings to them like static. And eventually, they have to shake it off, not by escaping the world, but by walking through it quietly, until the noise fades. Psychologists call it self-regulatory solitude, the ability to use alone time as a tool for emotional regulation. For people like this, walking becomes a nervous system reset. It activates both sides of the brain, creating what researchers call bilateral stimulation, the same principle used in trauma therapies like EMDR. Each step left, right, helps the brain process emotions, memories, and stress that were too heavy to carry sitting still. That's why, after a long walk, problems don't always vanish, but they shrink. What felt unbearable an hour ago becomes something that can finally be named, maybe even accepted. And that's the secret. Walking doesn't erase pain. It integrates it. For those who take long walks alone, silence isn't the absence of sound. It's the presence of thought. Their minds are like crowded rooms, full of voices, worries, memories, unfinished sentences. But when they walk, those voices begin to arrange themselves into meaning. The chaos becomes conversation. And in that conversation, something sacred happens. The person begins to understand themselves again. Sometimes they walk fast, like they're trying to outrun a thought. Sometimes they walk slowly, like they're making peace with one. You can almost read their mood by their pace. If they're restless, their steps hit the pavement with rhythm, quick, sharp, determined. If they're grieving, the steps are heavy, uneven, a slow translation of emotion into motion. But no matter the speed, they're always processing. They're doing what Carl Jung described as active imagination, turning inward, speaking with their subconscious, and allowing the unseen parts of themselves to take form. Many who walk alone developed that habit early, as children who found comfort in small escapes. When the house was loud, or love was uncertain, or emotions felt too big, they learned to self-soothe through movement. A backyard, a long hallway, a quiet road became sanctuaries, and those patterns stayed. As adults, they don't always trust that others can hold space for their emotions, so they walk instead, because walking has never misunderstood them. The ground never interrupts, the wind never judges, and the horizon never asks them to hurry. Philosophers have known this for centuries. Kierkegaard once wrote, "I have walked myself into my best thoughts." Nietzsche said, "All truly great thoughts are conceived while walking." There's something inherently philosophical about movement through solitude. Walking is not a retreat from life. It's participation without interference. It's the mind stretching its legs. It's consciousness breathing freely. When you walk alone, you stop performing the self that the world expects. There's no mirror to adjust to, no audience to please. Your thoughts return to their natural rhythm, slower, deeper, quieter. You start noticing again the shape of a cloud, the sound of gravel underfoot, the way your breath syncs with your heartbeat. That's mindfulness, but not the kind that's taught in books. It's embodied awareness. It's being present without trying to be. But there's a darker layer too, because sometimes those who walk alone aren't just seeking clarity. They're escaping pain. They've been through losses they couldn't explain, griefs they couldn't speak, memories they couldn't share. So they walk, not to forget, but because the body remembers before the mind can understand. In trauma psychology, there's a concept called body memory, how unprocessed emotions live in the muscles and nervous system. Walking releases them gently. It's why someone might start a walk feeling heavy and end it feeling strangely lighter. Not happy, not healed, but less haunted. These people know that some emotions can't be reasoned with. They can only be moved through, literally. But here's the paradox. People who take long walks alone often appear calm, even detached. Yet inside, they're among the most emotionally alive. They feel everything. Too much, too deeply, too vividly. It's not apathy that keeps them quiet, it's sensitivity. The world overwhelms them, not because it's too big, but because they notice everything. They sense tone, energy, tension, subtext. They read the spaces between words, and all that perception becomes weight. 1,000 tiny details their brains refuse to let go of. So they walk, because walking is how they exhale the day. It's how they make peace with their own empathy. Still, there's a shadow side. Sometimes walking alone becomes a hiding place, a way to delay confrontation, to analyze instead of act. It's safer to think than to speak, to process than to risk being misunderstood. Carl Rogers once said, "What is most personal is most universal." But for many who walk alone, that truth feels terrifying. Because being seen means being known, and being known means being vulnerable. So they stay in motion, open with themselves, closed with others. It's their form of control, their way of keeping chaos at arm's length. But eventually, after miles of silence and hours of thought, something shifts. The air feels lighter. The pace slows. The mind stops replaying and starts releasing. That's when healing begins. Neuroscientists call it neurobiological regulation. The body naturally lowering cortisol, balancing serotonin, and calming the amygdala, the brain's fear center. That's why after a walk, people often feel emotionally reset. Not euphoric, not numb, just balanced. It's the body's way of saying, you made it through the noise again. For some, walking becomes more than a habit. It's a language. Each step says what words can't. Each turn carries intention. The path itself becomes a form of prayer. It's why monks walk in meditation. Why poets and scientists have always wandered alone. Why even in the modern world, surrounded by screens, traffic, and deadlines, people still feel a deep instinct to step outside and just walk. It's ancient, it's primal, it's the mind's way of remembering its original pace. When the walk ends, they return not as different people, but as clearer ones. They take off their shoes, pour some water, sit quietly. And there's this small but profound sense of peace, the kind that doesn't shout, the kind that whispers, you can keep going. And that's the real psychology of people who take long walks alone. They're not running from the world. They're learning to live within it, without losing themselves. They walk to listen. They walk to think. They walk to heal. And sometimes they walk to simply remember what it feels like to be alive. So if you ever see someone walking alone, not hurried, not lost, just moving quietly through the world, don't assume they're lonely. They might be in the middle of the most important conversation of their life, the one they're finally having with themselves. Because solitude is not emptiness. It's alignment. It's the place where the self stops performing and starts existing. And maybe that's what the world needs more of. Not noise, not connection for the sake of connection, but people who know how to be with themselves before being with anyone else.